Normally when I'm talking about one of my aquariums or one of my new fish, we're down here in this aquarium room, which I love, which a lot of you love. But today we're gonna do something a little bit different. Today we're actually up here in my office, which is 2 floors up from the fish room, so we're on the 3rd floor of my home here. And the reason why is I have a couple of aquariums here in my office, and I've got this little mini pond over here. And I've made videos about this before, but what I didn't share with you is I had a fish pass away maybe about a couple of months ago now. It was one of my betta fish. I'd had it for quite a while. It's probably 3.5, 4 years old, right around there. So it had lived a good life and was well cared for, but its condition started to deteriorate and eventually it passed away. So I left the tank empty for a while, kind of thinking about what I wanted to keep. And I kept thinking about this fish that I had seen on some other channels and a fish that I had seen at my friend Phil's house. And you might have remembered me going and doing a tour of his fish room. If not, I'll put it up here. And he had these little, tiny little acrylic tanks. It's like a little half bowl, probably about a half a gallon, that he had attached to his wall, and he had these little fish living in there, and that's a Scarlet Badis.
Get a tank, I'll find a size
and
and
there's
shape
tanks on the wall too.
Yeah, these are usually empty. I do have a pair of Scarlet Badis in here right now though. Yeah, these are like one of the only fish that are small enough that can actually be happy in a small tank. Really
now the Scarlet Badis goes by other names like Dario Dario as an example. They're a fish from India, very colorful. And what I like about them is they almost are cichlid-like in their behavior. So unlike a lot of nano fish, which are kind of like a schooling fish, like little tetras and things like that, that are still beautiful and wonderful to enjoy, but they don't have the same type of personality that other larger fish do, like cichlids as an example. Well, the Scarlet Badis is kind of cichlid-like, both in the appearance and as well as how it behaves. So I thought that it would be a perfect addition to this little aquarium that I have. Now a little bit about this aquarium. It's an ADA tank. I don't know the exact gallons because they have like these different numbers, but I think it's like around 4.5 gallons, right around there. It's basically a rimless ADA glass tank, really, really nice tank that a friend of mine actually gave me. And I rescaped it not too long ago, made a video about it, and thought that the Scarlet Badis would look really good in here. A couple of reasons. One, I wanted to have a fish that was very small so I wouldn't have to worry about water quality, but also something that I felt would do well in a very small environment. So I wanted to have a small fish that would do well in a smaller tank. The other thing about it is because of how I scaped it, I've got a plant growing in there. I've got a few plants growing in there now, some wood and rocks and caves in there. It allows the fish to have some hiding places. Now the Scarlet Badis can be a little bit aggressive, and I do have 2 of them in there. They can be a little bit aggressive and nippy with one another if they don't have their own kind of territory or space. So knowing that I had the proper setup to care for them and have more than just one of them in there was one of the reasons why I chose this fish. Now in this tank I've got a small sword plant, I've got some anubias growing in there, I've got some floating plants as well that I added to help with water quality, but also to aid in giving a little bit of cover, which makes the fish feel safe and more secure in swimming around. So if you have a tank that you don't have anything covering the top of it, sometimes some fish might be a little bit shy or skittish and not wanting to come out because they feel like they're exposed. But if there's any kind of cover, whether it's wood or leaves or plants, etc., having something above them makes them feel a little bit more secure. So that was the other reason why I put the floating plants in there. And other than that, everything else is the same. I have the same small Nano Aquarium Co-op sponge filter in there, and that same little Nano heater in there to keep the water the right temperature. Now, one of the challenges that a lot of people have when it comes to keeping these fish is feeding them. They tend to be kind of picky eaters, but I've been pretty lucky in the fact that the 2 that I have don't seem to be picky at all. They've eaten pretty much everything that I put in the aquarium. Now, when it comes to being picky eaters, what I mean is oftentimes people have a problem feeding their Scarlet Badis processed foods, meaning they don't necessarily take flake food or pellet food or granules very readily. They tend to like more of the live foods or the frozen foods. Mine actually happen to eat flake food from the very beginning, and probably because of the type of flake food that I'm feeding. I use the Extreme Krill Flake, which is very flavorful, and it's a flake food that even very picky eaters tend to eat. So it is kind of more of a premium flake food, but my fish really do enjoy it, and I've had no problems with them eating the flake food. In addition to the flake food, I've given them live foods. Right now there's a bunch of Daphnia swimming around in there. I've got a little Daphnia culture growing outside. So I just net some up and put some in the aquarium, and they can eat it and munch on them for the next few days or so. So kind of a fun thing to just watch them hunt and chase a Daphnia around. I've also given them live baby brine shrimp. I've got a baby brine shrimp hatchery downstairs in the fish room. And also I've given them some small white worms. So these are all different live foods that I have available to me. Very easy to culture and take care of. And in addition to the live food, they're also getting the flake food. So it's kind of a very balanced diet that they get, and I've had no problems feeding them whatsoever. Now, as far as determining the gender, the sex of the fish, I am not sure if I have a male and a female or a male and a subdominant male. Most likely I don't have a female. Most likely the fish that I have that's not as brightly colored is a subdominant male, as females are pretty much hard to find. A lot of the breeders that breed these fish tend to keep the females to themselves so they can kind of capture that market as far as having the fish available. But anyway, when I went and caught the fish at the aquarium store, I purposely got a very good-looking, colorful male, and I went and tried to catch the most drab, boring, gray-looking Scarlet Badis in the aquarium. And whether it's a male or not, I don't know. If you happen to know, you can comment down below and let me know if I do in fact have two males or a male and a female, or most likely it's probably just a male and a subdominant male. But regardless, either way, there's lots of hiding places in there. I didn't get them for the purposes of spawning or anything like that. If that happens, if I do have a 1% chance of having a female, that would be great. But really, I just like to enjoy fish and be able to enjoy them and look at them here. Now, they are a bit of a shy fish, so it is sometimes a little bit of patience on my part to be able to see them swimming around. Oftentimes they're hiding behind a plant or behind a filter or under the rock or something like that. So they're not always like swimming around for me to enjoy. I do happen to have my cameras right here. I've got a couple of cameras. One actually I'm filming on, obviously, and then there's another one up here. So what I'll do is I'm sitting here at my office and I'm working, and I'll kind of glance over at the fish tank every once in a while. I look at my betta or my little mini pond or the Scarlet Badis. And if I see them moving around, I'll quickly grab my camera and try to record some video or take a photo of them just so that I can go back and look at it later, or obviously share it with all of you. So it does make it very handy to have a nice macro lens readily available within arm's reach, and just be able to turn it on very quickly and get some recording of the fish while they're doing their thing. Now, there's actually one more thing about this aquarium that I wasn't really going to talk about, but what the heck, full transparency, that's kind of how I am. I actually had a bunch of red cherry shrimp in there. Now, I have tried to keep red cherry shrimp for years now, probably over the last 3 or 4, 5 years. I've tried it in 4 different aquariums numerous times. I've tried it in this aquarium. I've tried it in another shrimp-only tank. I tried it in a large planted aquarium. I tried it in a smaller planted aquarium. All of them were well seasoned. The right water levels as far as parameters are concerned, the right amount of hardness. And I do keep a lot of hard water fish and everything like that. So for some reason, I cannot, for the life of me, keep any of them alive. I actually bought a dozen of them and put them in here, and within the first couple of days, about half of them had passed away. And over the next week or so, another couple passed away. And then I had, maybe 3 or 4 swimming around or walking around or foraging in there for another week or two. And then, every couple of days or so, I'd find one and I'd have to pull it out with my tweezers. And finally, the last one passed away just a few days ago. So it probably lasted a month in there before it didn't make it. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong as far as shrimp keeping. I've talked to shrimp breeders, shrimp keepers, people that are local to me that keep red cherry shrimp that have the same water parameters as I do as far as our tap water. For some reason, there's something that I'm doing wrong that's not keeping them alive. So ultimately, I would love to have something in there with the Scarlet Badis, something that's also very small, something that's going to do well cohabitating with them. If they happen to munch on some baby shrimp, I'd be okay with that. That's fine, so that I don't have an explosion of shrimp if I ever do get successful in keeping them. But hopefully one day I'll be able to have another inhabitant in here. So I might try shrimp again. I might try some shrimp that I might get from a friend that breeds them locally, so he's got the same water as I do. So that's an idea, or maybe I'll try something different. But if you have any ideas about what would work well with this aquarium, keeping in mind that it's a little bit over 4 gallons, it's an open top aquarium, about 78 degrees, and would do well with a Scarlet Badis, comment down below and let me know if, give me some ideas on what I might keep besides snails, obviously. So I'd like to try shrimp again, but if that doesn't work, then maybe some other type of fish. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this little video, a little bit different than what I normally do as far as sharing content upstairs rather than down in my aquarium room. If you've made it this far, hopefully you enjoyed this video. In fact, I would be hard-pressed to imagine anybody watching this long if you didn't like it. So if you've made it this far, please do me a favor, hit that like button, but more importantly, please do subscribe to my channel. So many people watch my videos. They've been watching my videos for months or years, and they've never subscribed. And I can see the analytics, and I know, what percentage of people are subscribed versus unsubscribed or not subscribed. So please do subscribe if you've made it this far. That's all I have for now. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.